All right, thank you for joining me for a yoga class where we will use a wall as a prop. This is a wall yoga class, so you'll want to be somewhere near a wall. And if you don't have a wall, then a sturdy structure like a bookshelf that's not going to fall, or a large couch or whatever that is, a sturdy structure that you can kick your legs up against or lean against is great too. You might also want some pillows and or a blanket for this class. You don't need any fancy yoga props, but pillows, maybe a blanket, and then a wall or all you need. Okay, wonderful. So you're going to find yourself in a comfortable seated position. And right away, you can just let your body kind of rest against the wall behind you. Can put your palms down on your knees to feel really grounded here. So a moment and just notice your body leaning against the wall. Notice your body on the floor. And again, we're just going to use the floor and the wall to support us throughout this class. We're going to start with a breathing exercise called 4-7-8 breathing. You'll inhale through your nose for a count of 4, hold that breath for a count of 7, and then slowly exhale through your mouth for a count of 8. So the idea is you inhale fairly quickly, you hold all that oxygen in the body, and then you slowly exhale. When you exhale longer than you inhale, it takes the body into the parasympathetic nervous system, getting us out of a fight, flight, or freeze response. It might take a few rounds of 4-7-8 breathing to figure out how quickly to inhale versus exhale. If after a few rounds you're still kind of feeling like out of breath, keep the ratio, but just make it like an inhale for 2, a pause for 3.5 seconds, and an exhale for 4. So it's still that same ratio. Okay, sitting up tall, drop your shoulders, lift your chest, relax your jaw. You can close your eyes if that feels good. Seal your lips, place your tongue at the roof of your mouth, just below your teeth, just behind your teeth, I should say. And begin. Inhale through your nose for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Slowly exhale through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in for 4. Pause for 7. Keep your shoulders down, your jaw relaxed. Slowly exhale for 8. Inhale for 4. If you find your mind wandering, you can use the count. Hold for 7. So maybe counting down from 7 to give your mind something to focus on. And then slowly exhale down from 8. Inhale through the nose for 4. Pause for 7. Exhale through the mouth for 8. Let's do one more minute of 4-7-8 breathing. We'll do one more full round of 4-7-8 breath. As you're ready, just return your breath to normal, in and out through your nose. Bring your back up against the wall behind you. Let your head rest on the wall behind you. So imagine everything nice and flat to the wall. Shoulders down, abdomen in slightly. Take your right hand outside of your right thigh and reach your left arm up and then over to the right. Try to keep your body against the wall. So notice if like one shoulder starts to turn in, right? You want to keep your two shoulders on the wall. Just stretching the left side body. Shoulders down away from the ears. Good, and slowly come back up, taking left hand outside of left side body, reach your right arm up, and slowly bend to the left, stretching the right side body. Keep the two shoulders against the wall. Good, slowly come up, take your right hand down. You're gonna bring both hands to the floor in front of you and come into a tabletop position where you're gonna tuck your toes under. So from the side, it'll look like this. And so that the backs of your feet, the soles of your feet can be against the wall. Take an inhale through your nose. Exhale through your nose, cat pose, around your spine, drop your head chin to chest, pull your abdomen in. So you're keeping the toes tucked under and the soles of the feet against the wall behind you for a nice little Achilles calf stretch. On your next inhale, cow pose, drop your belly down, lift your chin and chest up, stick your butt up, look up, squeeze shoulders together. Good, we're gonna go back into cat pose, meow, round your spine. Drop your head, try to slide the shoulder blades scapula apart, press your hips to the ribs, ribs to the hips. Good. And then cow pose, move, bring your abdomen down, hips up, roll the shoulders back and down, lift your nose, lift your chin, look up. Last round, cat cow. Just articulating your spine, make it feel good. When you're ready. To your cow. Good, and then come back into a neutral position. From here, there's not really a graceful way to do this, but you're basically going to bend your right leg so that the right knee is on the floor and rock your right knee back towards the wall. Place your left foot in between your hands. So I'll show you what it looks like from the side without a wall. Will look something like this, and the idea is that this foot is up against the wall. Okay, option to stay here, or maybe even start to lift up. So you're going to feel this big quadricep stretch here. Breathe into your hip. Breathing into the right side hip, feeling a nice stretch here. Good, if you're lifted, put your hands on the floor. Bring your left foot back, right shin back down to the floor. This time, bring your left knee back towards the wall behind you so that your left shin, top of the left foot is pressed against the wall. Bring your right foot forward. If you have tight knees, I recommend rolling up a mat or rolling up a little bit of extra padding underneath your left kneecap here. At first, keeping your hands on the floor, maybe inching the right foot forward. And if you'd like from here, lift up. Whew. You might notice this side feels different. It does for me. It's a great quadricep muscle stretch. Breathing into that hip. Keep the face relaxed. Good. Bring your hands down. Ooh, slowly bring your right shin back down. Left shin back down to the floor. And take a moment here just to sit back onto your butt. Maybe crisscross applesauce or in Sukhasana with one foot in front of the other. Good, just leaning against the wall. So we're gonna, a little bit later in class, we're gonna transition to like kicking our feet up the wall, to doing some more relaxed yoga postures. But I thought we could try something fun today. It's totally optional. You can take a break if you don't want to do it, but we can try a shoulder stand here using the wall as a prop. So it's an inversion. Some people, myself included, don't love inversions because it's a little bit scary that you could tip over, but a wall takes that fear away from you. So what I want you to do first before we go into our shoulder stand, grab opposite elbow and opposite hand. And then you're just going to interlace your fingers. You can even try it on the floor. And about elbow width is how wide you want your arms apart for this. So as you're ready, you're gonna come into tabletop facing the wall, so facing away from me, kneel down, you're gonna bend your elbows, grab opposite elbow, opposite hand, and then interlace fingers. So from the side, it'll look like this. From here, bring your head down towards the floor, so the top of your head is on the floor. Tuck your toes under and lift your hips up. Push your forearms into the floor. You could almost lift your head off the floor. Okay, now from here, here's where it gets fun. You're gonna start to lift your hips up and then walk your toes in towards your head. And maybe see if you can lift right leg off the floor and then maybe left leg off the floor. And remember that there's a wall behind you to catch you. And now we're just trying a fun shoulder stand here. Pardon me, not shoulder stand, headstand. This is a great inversion and it becomes a little less scary when you have a wall behind you. Good, if you kicked your legs up, you can bring one foot down, other foot down. And if you want a core challenge, if this is not your first rodeo, maybe try bringing both feet up at once. Whee! Maybe try keeping the feet off the wall. And then maybe try bringing both feet down at the same time. Okay, good. From here, take a child's pose, come down onto your knees, sink your hips down, reach your arms forward. That was your first time trying headstand, good for you. It's always nice just to stretch out afterwards. Inhale through your nose, feel the backs of your ribs expand. Exhale through your nose, feel the backs of your ribs contract. So feel yourself firmly grounded into the floor. Just giving yourself a moment here, especially if your heart rate increased in the inversion, right? It's a great way to get a nice rush of blood down to the head. Put your hands on the floor, slowly press yourself up, no rush. And then you're gonna come and sit to one side of the wall so that the right side of your body is facing the wall. And you can sit crisscross applesauce or in Sukhasana with one foot in front of the other. You're just gonna take your right hand and put it against the wall, like you're high-fiving the wall. From here, slide your right hand back a little bit. You want your elbow and shoulder in line. So your hand's not all the way up, but it's also not all the way down. Elbow and shoulder in line. Okay, take your left hand outside of your left hip and start to look over your right shoulder for a twist. You can press your right hand into the wall, press your left hand into the floor for a little bit of leverage. Sitting up tall, inhale, lengthen. Exhale, look over right shoulder, twist. Good, slowly unwind, keep your right hand on the floor, and this time we're gonna twist away from the wall, looking over left shoulder. So now you get this nice deltoid stretch to the right shoulder. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale through your nose, look over your left shoulder, twist. Good, and slowly, carefully unwind. Come back to center, right hand down. Let's do the other side. So you're gonna change which direction you're in. Okay, this time placing your left hand against the wall. Walk your left hand back a little bit. You want your elbow and shoulder in line. Take your right hand outside of your right hip. Inhale, lengthen, abdomen in. Exhale, look over your left shoulder, turn towards the wall as you twist. Press your left hand into the floor for leverage. Sit up nice and tall. On the breath in, lengthen up. And on the slow breath out, look over left shoulder. Good, slowly unwind. Keep your left hand on the wall, and we're gonna go the other direction. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, twist away from the wall, look over right shoulder. Again, feeling that stretch on the left shoulder, left deltoid. Notice if you're leaning forward. I just noticed I was leaning forward. Lean back a little bit so your spine is long. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, look over right shoulder, twist. Oh, that feels good. Okay, and as you're ready, slowly unwind, take your left hand down. So there's lots of fun different ways to use the wall in an upright position or even an inverted position, like we did with our headstand. Now we're gonna use the wall to kick our feet up. So there's no graceful way to do this, but you're gonna sit with your hips close to the wall, then you're gonna turn, lie on your back, and bring your feet up the wall for legs up the wall pose. Okay. And this is our first long held posture. We're just going to take a moment here. Let your feet be up the wall. You can have your arms down by your sides. You can also have your arms out to the side, or even bend your elbows, cactusing your hands like goalposts. We're going to hold here for 5 minutes. So legs up the wall pose on a physical level is a really great way to gently stretch the backs of the legs. By lifting the feet up, right, we also get a nice rush of blood into the heart, into the center of the body. Posture has been known to lower blood pressure. And on a more like psychological, emotional, spiritual plane, but also in line with the fact that it lowers blood pressure. This posture is really wonderful if you're ever stressed out. I know someone who has panic attacks and says this is like one of the only things that helps her get out of that like fight, flight, freeze response. So this is a really wonderful option, not just in yoga, but like if you're ever feeling a little stressed out or like you're having trouble breathing, you can just kick your legs up the wall, right, and get this nice stretch to the back of the body. It's also a really ancient posture. You know, yoga is like thousands of years old, right? But a lot of postures in yoga, actually, as we know them today, have only been around for like 100 years or 50 years. But there's really cool depictions of legs up the wall posture in like 17th century art, like 16th century art in Southeast Asia, which is pretty cool. So this is a time-honored, tried and true yoga posture. It's been practiced by people around the world, right, for several centuries, and you get to be part of that living tradition, which is really wonderful. I'll just give us some time here to kind of relax, 2 more minutes, and legs up the wall pose. Notice where you might be holding on to some tension in your body. Let it go through the exhale breath. So rather than forcing or fighting, right, you're just letting go, letting the floor beneath you and the wall in front of you really hold you up. Okay, next we're going to move into a hip opener. You're going to start to bend your knees, bring your feet together. So the soles of your feet turn in towards each other. The knees come out almost like butterfly wings. And from here, you're just gonna let your heels slide down towards your groin as you let the knees go apart. So using the wall here is a really wonderful way to use gravity to open through the hips, but it can be a little intense. So if you have pillows or blankets or any sort of like prop, books nearby that you want, you can put those on either sides of your thighs, your knees, so that there's a little support there so that the knees don't feel like they drop all the way. For a deeper hip opener, you could bring your heels down closer to your groin. You could also like place your hands on your knees and gently press your knees towards the wall. However, we're going to be here for a full 5 minutes, and I'm going to suggest that just letting gravity do the work will be enough of a stretch here. You don't need to like actively force your knees to like go back towards the wall or your heels to come down even more than they need to. You're welcome to have your arms down by your sides, out to the sides, or maybe cactus-like goalposts. Or you can even bend your arms and place your hands like over your torso or over your heart so you can really connect with your breath. This is an opportunity to let go of any tension in the hips, the pelvic floor, right? Just really let the hips relax. Just give your body permission to relax here. Just enjoy some time breathing through the nose. On a physical level, right, hip openers like this are good for opening the hips. They're good for hip and knee mobility. We're lying on our backs. We're lengthening through the spine. And on a more like emotional, psychological, spiritual plane, a lot of us tend to carry some tension in our hips. So opening the hips like this can be good for letting go of tension or kind of like, built up energy or emotion that's kind of been stuck in the body. So it's not uncommon when you're in a hip opener like this, if you get the urge to like cry or laugh, or if when you come out of the posture, you feel some sort of way too. Just know that all of that is quite normal. Notice where you're still holding on to tension in your body. Just give yourself permission to relax a little deeper. Holding here for 2 more minutes. Take an inhale through your nose. If it feels good, you can open your mouth and let go of anything that's feeling a little heavy. And slowly slide your feet back up the wall, maybe one or both feet at a time. If you were using pillows, you can put those off to one side. And now, again, there's no graceful or pretty way to do this, but you're just gonna kind of roll to one side so your feet come off the wall. And then you're gonna turn and lie on your back for a Savasana. So arms and legs down, taking some time just to breathe. The first time I taught a wall yoga class, we had our legs up the wall for like 30 minutes straight. And for anyone that was there, I don't know about you, but by the end of it, like my feet were numb. Like, so I've learned that coming off the wall from time to time in a yoga class is not a bad thing. So we're just giving a moment here for your body to reset. Again, when our legs were up the wall, had a lot of blood flow coming down from the feet, like into the heart, right? And so now some of that blood that wasn't so much circulating in the toes as you lie on your back, some of that blood's going back towards the toes, especially after that hip opener too. You might notice, again, a release of emotion or just like shifting sensations in the body. So for example, right now, I'm noticing a lot of the sensation of heat in like my sacrum and my tailbone and my hips, my lower back. I'm noticing the sensation of like cold in my toes. You might feel something different. It might not be temperature, right? It might be like heaviness or lightness. If you have aphasia, you could be having a really cool experience. Please tell me about that. But there's no one right answer to yoga postures. There's no one size fits all for what you should or should not be feeling in a yoga posture or when you come out of it. So sometimes sensations that I will describe in my body might be different from sensations that you're feeling. For example, one person might feel that hip opener in the inner thighs and another person might really feel it in like their glutes. And neither of those are wrong. They're both correct, correct observations. Every body's different. Every day is different. A lot of yoga is just accepting, our unique outlook on life, our unique talents and gifts that we bring to the world. And part of that includes the fact that we experience yoga postures and yoga classes differently from, maybe another practitioner. Okay, as you're ready, you're going to bend your legs so your feet are on the floor. Roll off to one side. There's no rush here. As you're ready, place your hands on the floor, press yourself up. Ooh, so now we're getting a nice rush of blood down towards the heart, towards the hips, towards the feet. You're going to come back and lean back against the wall with your legs bent so that your feet are on the floor. You can bring your knees, feet together, hands to either sides of you, and maybe just windshield wiper your legs back and forth. Especially after that hip opener, right? Just moving everything. Now we're gonna come back to center, come back to neutral, and we're gonna do a seated figure 4 with the wall as a prop. So keep your left foot on the floor, can lengthen your left leg as much as you want. Lift your right leg up, try to place your right ankle shin on top of your left thigh. So from the side, it'll look like this, but again, you're like leaning against the wall, right? From here, if you want a deeper stretch, you can walk your foot in and press your chest forward. So that you feel this nice stretch along the outer right thigh, the right hip, the side seat. Figure 4 is also wonderful if you have sciatic nerve pain, if you know someone who has sciatica, any version of this, whether it's on your back, on your butt, facing forward, right, pigeon pose, they're all really good. And we're gonna hold here for 5 minutes. I know, crazy. So right away, notice, if you're feeling too much of a stretch, maybe bring your left foot away from you. If you're not feeling it anything at all, maybe bring your left heel towards your left hip. And then just let your head be on the wall, let your shoulders be on the wall. Especially in long held postures, if it feels good, right? You can close your eyes, kind of go back into your own little world. Just noticing if your mind starts to really travel down a rabbit hole. You know, we've all had the experience of like, you're thinking about a yoga posture and then 5 minutes later you realize that like, I don't know, you're thinking about like the 1999 World Series and you have no idea how you got from point A to point B. So with yoga, you're just gonna, and mindfulness in general, you're gonna follow and notice your thought patterns. And then if they get like a little too far-fetched, a little bit too far away from the truth of the present moment, you're just gonna bring yourself back into your breath, back into your body, back into your seated figure four with the support of the floor below you and the wall behind you. About 1 minute left. Notice where you might be holding on to some tension. Really breathe into your hips. Breathe into the right side seat, soothing the body through the breath. You're really starting to feel it towards the end. I'm right there with you. Still just soothing the body with the breath. Letting go of any last tension in the body, just giving into the posture. And here you're going to start to inch your left toes forward, lengthen the left leg, maybe let the left leg lay flat, and lengthen the right leg. So both legs are long. Just let yourself relax against the wall, letting that posture go. Bend one knee and straighten the other and kind of wiggle out your legs, maybe windshield wiper. Anything that feels good. And let's do the other side. Okay, so you're gonna bend your legs, feet on the floor, cross your left ankle over your right knee shin. So again, from the side, it looks like this. And to get a deeper stretch, you're gonna walk your heel in closer to your hip, really feeling that stretch along the left hip, left side seat. Holding here for 5 minutes. And you might notice that this side feels different from the other side. It does for me. We are not symmetrical. And, through a yoga practice, right, you might be able to realign the body. You might come in noticing that like, wow, my left hip is a lot weaker than my right hip. Through yoga, maybe through some other activities, physical therapy, you might, get those two hips more in line or even out, the tension in your shoulders or whatever that is. But at least for yoga, just remember that that's not the goal of yoga. Becoming slightly more symmetrical, becoming slightly more flexible or strong, or like a lot more flexible or strong, right? All of those things are beautiful byproducts or side products of your yoga practice. But the real goal of yoga is like self-realization, right? Can you sit with yourself? Can you enjoy your own company? Can you breathe through the things that are like a little bit tricky and breathe into the things that feel really good, right? So that's really the goal. And the stuff about, maybe evening out the hips or the knees or the shoulders, those are beautiful byproducts to a yoga practice. And for a lot of us, we come into yoga, right, for the physical benefits, but I think many of us stay with our practice more for like the mental, emotional, spiritual benefits. So that is quite normal as well. I sometimes joke, you come into yoga for a cute butt, but you leave with peace of mind. Or maybe you came into yoga for peace of mind, but you left with a cute butt, No right or wrong answer. We're just gonna hold and breathe. About 2 minutes left, right? If you're not feeling anything at all, you could bring your heel closer to your hip. If it's too much, you could bring your foot a little away from your hip. Notice where you might still be holding on to some tension in your body, right? And you're just consciously breathing into that area that feels tight. feels right for you, you can slowly inch those right toes forward, slowly lengthening the right leg down to the floor, left leg down to the floor. Whew. Got a cramp there, baby. All right, you can wiggle out your legs, do a little windshield wiper, and then turn and lie on your back again for Savasana or petal pose. For those of you that ever experience cramping in a yoga posture, like right now, I have like my left side seat cramped up. There's a couple of reasons why that could be. One could be like if you're dehydrated, right? Especially if you're constantly finding that like your feet cramp up in class, that's usually a sign that you need to be drinking more water. But a lot of times actually when we experience cramping, it's neuromuscular confusion. So when you move your body in a new way, or you hold a posture for a long period of time, sometimes the muscles just get a little confused and they'll cramp. So just know that like cramping sometimes doesn't mean that you like did anything wrong or that it's going to be there forever. It's just like a little bit of confusion between the brain and the muscles and the nerves that cause the body to cramp up for a second. And when that happens, you can do like a counter stretch if that feels good. You can just make your way into a Savasana or into a neutral position. And then just breathe back into that area. Imagine sending like highly oxygenated blood towards those muscles that might have gotten a little confused. Okay. Next, we're gonna bend your legs, feet on the floor. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Roll off to one side. And you're gonna keep rolling over onto your abdomen and then face forward, bend your legs and walk your knees back a little bit. So your feet are up, kind of like you're at a slumber party, right? You can let your feet rest against the wall. And from here, we're gonna do a Sphinx pose just with knees bent against the wall. So elbows bent, hands on the floor. From the side, it'll look like this, right? With your feet against the wall. You do want to have some activation in the arms here so the shoulders aren't tensing into the ears. You can always bring your arms forward. We're just going to hold here for 2 minutes. It's a great back bend with a little bit of a different variation in the lower body. So you might feel a little bit more of a quadricep stretch with the knees directly against the wall, right? You might feel it a little bit more in the lower back too. On a physical level, this posture, Sphinx pose, is a wonderful chest opener. We're stretching the fascia on the chest. It's healing compression to the spine, especially in a culture where we tend to hunch forward a lot, right? This back bend is really good for like releasing tension from the back of the body. And on a like emotional, psychological, spiritual plane, the same way that we tend to hold stress or tension or emotion in our hips, can also hold that in like our shoulders and our back. So opening through the heart space here, right, healing compression to the spine can kind of release some of that pent up emotion or tension. It is not uncommon to like, again, feel an urge to cry or laugh or something like that when you were in a back bend. Same thing with a hip opener. Keep the shoulders out of the ears, chest long. With 30 seconds left, you can move into what's called seal pose. So you're gonna really push your palms into the floor and straighten your arms, and then you'll really feel the back bend. Shoulders away from the ears, root down through the knuckles. Relax your butt. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your nose. And slowly lower down. Bring your elbows out. You can look to your right, left ear on your mat. You can keep your feet up the wall if that feels good. Good, and then gently lift your head, looking the other way, maybe right ear on your mat, the left. forward. And again, there's no graceful way to do this, but you're gonna kind of roll onto your back. So you're on your back with your knees bent. Make sure you have some pillows nearby. You're gonna start to scoot your butt up towards the wall, just walking your hips in. By the way, if anyone does have a cute or graceful way to get in and out of wall postures, feel free to tell me after class, because I have yet to find a pretty way of doing this. So once your butt is towards the wall, you're gonna have your feet on the wall so that your knees are bent. You're gonna push your feet into the floor, squeeze your butt, lift your hips. So now you're in a little bit of a shoulder stand, chin to chest. And from here, you're gonna place some pillows underneath your back, under your sacrum, and then lower the hips down. So the idea here is the hips are like a little bit higher than the heart. And you can play around with having like one pillow under your lower back, two pillows under your lower back, right? Anytime you want to add more, you just put your feet on the floor, lift your hips up, bring the pillow underneath. Okay. You can play around with that for a minute and then just let your feet come back up the wall. So chin is a little to chest, neck is long. And the more bolsters you have underneath your hips, the more you're going to get that rush of blood towards the heart, towards the head. But again, it shouldn't be like painful anyway. We're going to hold here for 2 minutes. Maybe if you had your arms down by your side the first time you did legs up the wall, this time you can bring your arms out to the side, right? If you had your arms out to the side, maybe you bend them, cactus them like goalposts. Just do a little bit of a different arm variation here. You could even bring your arms up overhead if that feels nice for a shoulder opener. Again, no one answer here. Just trusting yourself, being a little bit playful, a little bit creative with your yoga practice. Okay, from here, you're gonna bend your legs again so your feet are on the wall. Push your feet into the wall, lift your hips, remove one pillow at a time. Eventually, you're gonna remove all the pillows. Slowly let your hips come back down to the floor. Okay, from here, bring your arms out to the side if they're not already. Keep your left foot on the wall, left leg bent. Cross your right leg over your left leg. So think right hamstring over left quadricep muscle. You can cross at the knees, kind of like you're sitting in a chair with your legs crossed. Or if you'd like, you can hook the right foot behind the left calf for an eagle leg. And from here, you're going to start to move, roll to the left. So that right hip stacks on top of left hip. And if you, like me, have found that you're a little too close to the wall, you can push yourself off a little bit. And then try that again. Roll to the left. So right hip stacks on top of left hip. Try to keep your right shoulder on the floor. If you'd like a full twist, look over your right shoulder. We're going to hold here for 3 minutes.
So this is a great spine twist. It's an abdominal wall twist. I think spine twists are kind of the unsung hero of back health. If you sit at a desk all day at work, you might have figured out by now that it feels good to like stand up, put your hands on your back and do a back bend every hour. But make sure you're doing spine twists as well. They're really good for resetting the back, almost like a home chiropractic adjustment. When we twist the abdomen like this, also good for digestion. If you have an upset stomach, try some spine twists. And here we're also like internally rotating the right hip. So especially after those hip openers that we did earlier, it's nice to kind of internally rotate the hip. And if you have the foot wrapped, right, you're also working on like knee and ankle joint mobility. Notice where you might be holding on to some tension in the body. Just let go. So body becomes a little bit lighter, a little bit more relaxed. You can inhale to your nose. Breathe it all out. If you're looking over right shoulder, slowly roll your head back to center so the back of your head is on the floor. And then carefully bring your right hip back down to the floor. And we'll do the other side. Right foot on the wall, cross your left leg over your right leg. From here, maybe wrap your left foot behind your right ankle and then roll to the right. Left hip on top of right hip. Try to keep your left shoulder down. And some folks find that hooking the left foot behind the right ankle, doing the full eagle leg, is actually easier on the floor or seated than it is balancing, which makes sense because balancing adds like an extra confusing component to that. So you might find that it's a little easier to wrap your left foot here or not. Keep the left shoulder down and maybe look over your left shoulder so the neck and shoulder get a nice twist as well. So again, on a physical level, spine twists, abdominal wall twists are good for back health, good for digestion. And on maybe more of a like, you know, mental, emotional, psychological, spiritual level, they're also really good for bringing us into the present moment. So like in a lot of Eastern medicine, it's believed that like if you experience pain on the back of the body, like on your back or your hamstrings or your calves, right, or your neck, that's like a pain about something that's happened in the past. So like a big example is you've maybe experienced this or observed someone else experiencing this. Like after the loss of a loved one, often people will have like really bad back pain. Conversely, the front of the body is where we store like pains, worries about the future, right? Which makes sense if you've ever had like a big presentation at work, what happens, right? Like your stomach gets in knots, right? So the front of the body is associated with like worries or pains of the future. Back of the body is associated with like worries or resentments of the past. And when we twist, when we twist both the front and the back at once, like we're doing here, it's believed that we're like bringing the back, the front, the back, the past, and the future into the present moment, right? So if you find that you're like getting carried away with worries about the future or regrets about the past, you can do a spine twist as a way to kind of bring the body back into the here and now. It's a nice thought, right? I think. Holding here for 1 more minute. Relax your jaw, your chest, your hips and glutes. If you're looking over your left shoulder, gently roll your head back to center. So back of the head is on the floor. Slowly roll your left hip back down, 2 hips on the floor. You can bend both of your legs, hug your knees in towards your abdomen. Maybe place your hands on your knees and rock back and forth, side to side, rolling out the back. Okay, good. And then we're going to finish with one last legs up the wall pose. So moving your hips back, your butt back closer to the wall. Lift your feet up, letting your feet kick up on the wall. Good. And if you really liked having those pillows under your lower back, you're welcome to, put the pillows back under your lower back. You could also try placing like a pillow under your head, or maybe a blanket over your body, and maybe doing like a arm variation that you haven't done yet. And once you've kind of played around and found something that feels like right and true for you, just gonna let your body relax, softening through your forehead, your jaw, the back of your head be heavy on the floor. Relaxing through your neck, spine, your shoulders and chest. Soften through the sides of your torso, your lower back, your belly button be heavy. Relax through your shoulders, your arms. Letting go of any tension in your hands. Soften through your hips and seat. Notice if you're holding on to some tension in your hamstrings or calves. Really just feel your feet up on the wall. Let your body know, especially your hamstrings, right, that there's no need to like contract here, right? The wall's there for a purpose, for a reason. And just let your legs be totally soft, floppy, loose. Relaxing through the fronts of the legs as well, the ankles and the feet. Just letting everything stretch out as you breathe through your nose. Stay with your legs up the wall for as long as you want. Whenever you're ready, you'll just bend your knees in, roll off to one side, and then you're going to make your way into a seated position first. Again, you can stay with legs up the wall. I'm just modeling what it'll look like. And I really encourage you to take some time seated upright before you stand up, because that was such a tilt in blood with the feet up the wall. Again, good for lowering blood pressure, good for anytime you're feeling anxious, but also you just want to be careful of like sitting up for a while first before you go to stand up. Make sure that you drink lots of water today. Put like nice thoughts into yourself, into your body, the same way that we nourish with like
food and water, nourish yourself with like kind and true thoughts about yourself. Have a wonderful day. Hope to see you again soon.